program. And this is my third year, so meaning I'm graduating in spring. I'm currently working as an associate with RBC Capital Markets. I'm in the global credit team. So it's a bit of busy life right now, working full-time and studying part-time, but very happy to be here and happy to answer your questions. If you have any, just connect and introduce you to the part-time morning, evening MBA program as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Gianni. Okay, so I'm going to take over for the first few minutes. I'm going to talk broadly about the morning and evening program at Rotman, and then I'm going to bring on Gianni again and ask some questions, and then hopefully you have some questions for her as well. So let's get going. I want to be mindful of time. I know that it's just past 12:30 now. So my name is Angela Forster. Welcome to today's session. It's my very great pleasure to work at Rotman for the morning and evening program specifically. It's a fabulous program, and you'll see why we have students like Gianni who are absolutely fantastic and are really go-getters and willing to go above and beyond to help each other out. And I think you'll see that today from our conversation. I have over 20 years of work experience in all different kinds of industries. So no matter where you're coming from, I can probably relate in some way, shape, or form. And I'm going to just skip through a little bit faster today to make sure that we do have some time to speak with Gianni. So first, we're going to start about what is the morning and evening MBA program. Well, there is one per year. And so it's 2 mornings or 2 evenings a week. When I first started, I thought it might be you had to come in the morning and the evening, but that's not the case. You get to choose between the two. So it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesday in the morning would be 7 to 9, and in the evening is 6:30 to 8:30. It is a cohort-based program, so you're moving through with all of your classmates like Gianni for the first half of the program. And that really enables you to get to know each other very, very well. And so here's a little bit more about the cohort. So there's 60 to 70 students in the morning. We have about the same in the evening. And even though that might sound like a lot of students, so there's 120 or so students in both the morning and evening classes, the great thing about this program is you're never going to feel like a number because we have a lot of group work that we do. There's a lot of teamwork involved, and it really is an immersive experience. And what I mean by that is, you're learning in the morning, but you're also working. And so you're able to apply the concepts that you are learning in school directly to your work environment. And hopefully we can talk to Gianni about that a little bit more in the near future. But that is something that I hear repeatedly from our students is really the value of being able to learn in the morning or in the evening, and then to apply it directly to their work. If you will, it kind of gives people a bit of a superpower right there. They have 120 friends that they can bounce ideas off of. You've got your faculty members that can help you as well. And then of course, there's the course material that you are learning. So the program is really split into 2 different sections. The first half of the program is the mandatory courses where you're moving through all of the same classes with your network. And again, I'm going to keep coming back to that concept of networking. It is really important. As someone who has worked for several universities and several MBA programs, I would say that if you're like me and you're kind of a spreadsheet person, you want to make sure that you have the size of your network as an important piece of information that you want to collect about the different programs you're looking at. So for this program, you have 120, 140 people in your class, but as you're moving through, you're going to get to know even more people. So by the time that you graduate, you're going to get to know about 600 people that you didn't know before, which is a huge number. And it's more than just kind of getting to know people in a one-off situation. Because we are a cohort, you really are moving through together. So it's not that, for example, Gianni and I take a class together in the first semester and then never see each other again, rather that we would become very, very close. And then once that relationship is established, the second half of the program is the customizations, specializations, and electives. And so at that point, you get to meet even more people once you have that core group of people that you are going to count on probably for the rest of your life. And so that's sort of the setup of the program. There's so much more available with the Rotman program. And some of these labs that we have listed here, we actually have webinars on. So the self-development lab, we are going to be talking about that in depth tomorrow evening. If you want to join us, please feel free. Creative Destruction Lab, we're going to be talking about at 6 o'clock tonight. So self-development lab is really about developing yourself as a leader. Maya Dietrich is a professor who runs that program. Absolutely fantastic program, highly recommend it. Creative Destruction Lab is more for people who are entrepreneurs or want to work in high tech. It's an absolute fantastic opportunity for those folks. Again, if this is something that floats your boat, you might want to join us tonight at 6 o'clock to learn more about that. And then, of course, we do have our trading labs and our management analytics labs. So all of those are available. And then, of course, we do have clubs. So we have student clubs, we have case competitions, and our global exchanges and experiences. So much more than just what you're learning in the classroom. And this is really what makes a difference with the Rotman MBA. There is so much more going on than what is just in the classroom. And wonderful experiences as well to help build your network. In terms of career services, whether you're in the full-time program or morning and evening, it's the same group of people that are going to be working with you. They're there to coach you one-on-one. And I often get asked, I'm going to get my MBA and then I'm going to get a new job. For people in the morning and evening program, it's been our experience that on average, our students make more than one shift or more than one promotion while they're in the program itself. And so it's not necessarily that you're waiting for something to happen after you graduate or you start looking after you graduate, rather you actually would see a change within the time of the program itself. And that's the average student in our program. And career services are obviously there to help you and guide your way. So why Rotman? There's a lot of different programs out there. We definitely want to make sure that you do your research and find a program that is right for you. But when you're considering Rotman, you want to think about the fact that it is a globally recognized MBA. You're taking the UFT and Rotman name with you no matter where you go. Again, top ranked faculty. Not only are they very well researched and renowned for that research around the world, but they're absolutely fabulous people. I've known many of them to bend over backwards, helping our students after hours to try to get jobs or make connections or what have you. And then we also have a leadership development practicum, which helps you build yourself as a leader. Where do you want to be in 10 years and how do we build that bridge to get you there? So it really is more of a complete MBA experience when you add in those clubs and case competitions. And there's so much more than what we can talk about in a half an hour, which is why we've got this week's open house. So I do hope that you will explore the full complement this week, whether it's SDL or the Creative Destruction Lab. We are going to be talking about clubs and case competitions. So please join us for that. And then, of course, I'm going to keep going back to you're going to build your largest network. So about 600 people that you didn't know before you stepped in the door of Rotman. And of course, these are all folks that are up and coming like yourself, that are emerging leaders. You've also got access to our alumni base and the U of T alumni base. So it's a really big group of folks that you will now have access to. So this is the class profile. I'm not going to go into this too much because quite frankly, everyone that comes into the program is unique. But just to kind of give you some averages. So last year, actually, we had average years of work experience was 7. Average GMAT was actually 640. But you can see there's people coming in from all different backgrounds. So no matter where you are coming from, this is a program that we really want to be diverse. And even if that means coming from a CFA background, we welcome you into this program. So just to move on pretty quickly to the admission criteria, one thing I want to highlight is on the right-hand side of the screen, as a CFA 3 or a charter holder, you are actually exempt from writing the GMAT or GRE. And that is the only waiver that the Rotman program provides. So if you do in fact have your CFA 3, then you do not need to write your GMAT or GRE. And so it makes it quite a bit easier for you to get into the program. So what would be required is a copy of your undergrad transcripts. You might need to write an English language proficiency test. That would depend on your background, and that's something that we could definitely check out together. A minimum of 2 years of work experience would be required, but the range is between 2 and 20, and then some professional references. And these are people who have managed you, not colleagues, not friends. And then we have 2 essays that you would need to write. So those are the only pieces. So if you have a resume, a transcript, 2 people who are willing to vouch for you that are managers, and if you can write 2 essays, that's all you need to do in order to apply for this program, providing you have your CFA 3. And so this is actually a little less applicable for those that have the CFA 3, except I wanted to point out that with the CFA 3, you have the equivalent of one of the highest GMAT scores. And so that puts you in the bucket for a distinguished award, which who doesn't want a distinguished award? And so what does that mean? It's a named award. So whether it be Women in Business or Finance Award, and it would mean a certain amount of money as well. And so for the February 9th deadline, if you have a CFA 3 and you're planning to apply, the minimum that we would provide to you would be a $15,000 entrance award. And that's the same if you have a 650 on your GMAT or GRE. So if there are people here that don't have a CFA 3, you would need to write your GMAT and get a 650 to be considered for that $15,000. And then obviously we are looking for a strong overall application as well. In terms of fees, it is about $90,000, so $30,000 a year for the 3 years of the program. And the entrance awards, like I said, range from $5,000 to $30,000. If you have your CFA 3, you're guaranteed a minimum of that $15,000 entrance award. We also have a student loan program through RBC and BMO, where Rotman pays the interest on your tuition for the whole time that you are in the program. So that's paying your interest on your tuition for the whole time that you're in the program. And then of course, once you graduate, it would be over to you to start paying. All right, so now, thanks for sticking with us here, Gianni. Well, I went through all of that information. Very happy to have you here. And I do want to open it up to our students as well so that they can ask any questions. So if you do have a question to ask Gianni or myself, please feel free to put up your hand. But Gianni, so you had a CFA 3 and you decided to come to Rotman and do your MBA. What did you see as, like, why did you decide to make that decision?
I mostly see perhaps in 2 areas. I think one is, as you mentioned, the network. So our class is around 120 people for both mornings and evenings in 1 year. But you got to remember, when you're in class or at university on campus, you actually can interact with 3 years of morning, evening MBA students. Also, there are full-time students that you might encounter during case competitions, a lot of club activities. So it drastically expands your network when you're actually on campus. But also don't forget there are alumni out there in the industry, especially if you're doing MBA, you're in finance, then a lot of us are downtown, and it's a very strong network. So just give you an example, I reached out to someone recently asking about how to get into your industry, what do I need, the skills and experiences, and I almost got a reply immediately, because I put Rotman alumni somewhere in the subject line, and it's kind of like, hey, this is the same, cohort. This is the same alumni association. So people responded very fast. We also have associations or groups on LinkedIn that allow us to connect, help each other in terms of learning, progressing your career. So that's something I really considered. And the other area I considered there was management, strategic decision making. So after my first year, my second year, third year elective courses, for myself, I predominantly did a lot of management courses, because I think once you master the technical side of finance, creating spreadsheets, number crunching, the next part that help you to move above and beyond your current career is management, strategic decision making. That's what makes you stand out if you want to move into the management level. And I think a lot of us actually want to do that for the next few decades of our career. So that's another important piece of consideration.
Great. And so you sort of mentioned LinkedIn groups and that kind of thing. What kind of clubs, or have you joined any case competitions or clubs? Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a member, quite active member actually, with 3 finance clubs associations. So I'm with RFA, the Rotman Finance Association. I'm also with RAMA, that's the Asset Management Association. So last year I was actually the student ambassador for the CFA Society at Rotman. So I worked with the Asset Management Association to promote CFA and also help a lot of students to get into the asset management career. I'm also with the Venture Capital Association. So that's for venture capitalists, people who want to get into entrepreneurship, want to get into startups. So that's another area you can actually consider.
That's awesome. And a lot of times people will question, well, you're a morning and evening, like a part-time student, you're working, can you really join clubs or be an active member? And so what do you have to say about that?
I have to say this is definitely not easy. So if you wanted to come in like I have a very easy journey, that's almost not possible. But it's kind of like a lot of people say, if it's easy, a lot of people would have done that. If it's it's an easy journey, a lot of people will be progressing their career. So it is not easy. Like we really hustle, apart from working full time. So I can give you an example. We just came out from our intensive winter course over the last 2 weeks. So I was doing one course. I was taking classes in the morning, went back to work in the afternoon, and then at night we have university projects. So we have assignments and then papers to write. It is a little bit of hustling involved, but when you get out of that in the end is you can stand in front of your future employees or the career you want to get into and tell them I really hustled, I'm able to handle tight deadlines, I'm hardworking. That's the work ethics that you bring in.
Can you think of an example where maybe what you've been able to apply what you've learned from learning at Rotman into your career?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I will use the winter intensive class as another example. So I did a course called Getting It Done, and it's about management. How do you build an effective team to actually get your goals met? So what we did at the end of the course was there was a presentation that you have to brainstorm and think about how you can implement these strategies and these tools that you learned over the past few weeks. And it's a very straightforward, toolkit for me. And for full-time students, sometimes they will have to think about how does that apply to their future work when they graduate in a few months' time. But for me, it was very straightforward. What I can do here, day one coming back to work. So there are tools like how to run effective meetings, how to prepare that, how to draw that action grid to make everyone accountable for the goals that you want to achieve at work.
Nice. And in terms of your career path, are you in the same job that you were when you started Rotman? And I should have asked, what year are you in? Can you let people know? And are you in the morning or are you in the evening?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in my third year, so I'm graduating this spring. I'm in the evening program.
Great. And so when you first joined Rotman, were you in the same role that you're in now? And where do you see things going for yourself?
Yeah, sure. Actually, this is like you said, Angela, it's not uncommon. It's very common for us to transition while we're doing the program. So even you say you're an MBA candidate, you haven't got that 3 letters behind your name. A lot of future employers recognize that you're in the program and you're trying to advance, to better yourself, develop yourself, and advance your career. So it's actually quite recognizable. So I made the change, I think, at the beginning of the pandemic. I still haven't even met my full team yet in person. We've only seen each other on camera. So yeah, that's the transition that I took. And I'm talking to different teams within the bank or other banks or alumni, trying to find out where to go from here. So I think the bigger direction I want to take is maybe moving from middle office. I'm right now in credit, so that's middle office. I'm looking to move into front office, which is more client facing and more directly driving the revenue for the bank.
Amazing. All right, I'm going to ask again, and we've got some people on the call with us. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask of myself or of Gianni? I promise that we don't bite. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. Okay, well, let's see. So we talked about clubs. Okay, there we go. And I don't know what your first name is, because I feel like that might be a mix of names. What's your name? Go ahead, Gokani.
Oh, sorry. Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So my question is, do you have to be in Toronto if you want to attend the morning evening MBA class? Because I saw somewhere on the slide that it mentioned something about that.
Excellent question. And so the morning and evening program is traditionally designed for people that are living and working in the Greater Toronto area, because you do need to be, you are supposed to be going in person. Now, of course, we've had several issues with connecting in person over the last few years. We were supposed to go back in January, but unfortunately, due to COVID, that hasn't happened yet. So for the moment, we are online, but the intention is to be back in person as soon as we can. So the traditional route for people in this program is for them to come to Canada, possibly on a PR, and then to join the program that way.
So,
I hope that.
So if I'm a PR, but I'm not in the GTA area, like I'm in Ontario, but I'm in the other side of the province. So is there any option for me to attend this virtually?
So I think it may be a good idea if we, you and I speak in, why don't we set up a call and let's go through, and maybe you can send me your resume and we can talk about your situation. That might make more sense. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. so what I want to do now is to just bring up some upcoming events that we have. So tonight we do have the Creative Destruction Lab. Again, if you're into tech or you're an entrepreneur, this is a fabulous opportunity for you. Tomorrow we do have a student panel. So day in the life, you get to talk to multiple folks who've come through the program. And then we have a sample class on Wednesday at noon, disruption through prediction. And if you do want to reach out to me, I will be following up with you by email with a bunch more information. So please look out for that email. You can just reply to it. I'm happy to set up a one-on-one call with you, or my email address is there as well. And in the meantime, I want to just say to Gianni, thank you so very much for joining us here today. I really appreciated your time, and hopefully people on the call with us got some great information from what you shared. Thank you so much, Gianni.
Thank you, Angela. Happy to be here.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I think I'm going to leave it there now. Have a wonderful afternoon, and hope that